So yun, good morning to everyone. For this lecture, I'm going to talk about the pasture management. So, for specifically on Carabao production, since nandun muna tayo sa chapter na yon. So, pero itong pasture management, it can also apply to the other chapters sa goat production at saka sa sheep production natin. Pero, may mga specific lang for Carabao production. So, last meeting, I've talked about the feeding of the carabao. So I've talked about the mga um, different feed stuff that you can give the carabao. So for mga different forages and roughages that you can give the carabao, or yung mga common na feeding system na yung mga common na pinapakain nila sa mga carabao on the different parts sa ating bansa, dun sa Quezon, dun sa Rizal, so mga ganun. So for this lecture, I will talk about the pasture management. So as an introduction, when pastures can be the most economical and practical source of feed for carabao production under ranch operation. So when we say it is the most practical source of feed kasi, uh, yung pasture talaga yung parang easiest and most efficient way to provide yung nutrient ng carabao, yung nutrient requirement ng carabao. So, it is the most economical rin kasi it is cheaper than other source of nutrients, other source of yung other mga feedstuffs such as yung mga concentrate. So, mas cheaper yung um, yung pastures, and at the same time, it can provide naman yung nutrient requirement ng carabao. So, it is the most economical and practical source of feed for carabao. Under ranch operation, so yung carabao production under ranch operation, yung mga malalaking farm. So, since malalaki to, kailangan talaga na mag-provide ka ng forages, ng mga pastures, especially yung mga high quality pastures. Kasi dito talaga, mostly kukuha ng nutrients yung mga carabao. And when we say under ranch operation, pwede rin naman, hindi lang naman yung under ranch operation. So pastures are also important for yung mga backyard natin. Pero, na-amplify kasi yung importance ng pastures doon sa under yung mga big operations. Since they really need a lot of pastures in order to meet the nutrient requirement ng mga carabao natin. Especially if it is for milk production, yung mga carabao natin. So, kailangan talaga nilang ng madaming pasture. So, however, this entails proper management of the pasture land, which is essential to maintain its maximum productivity and utilization and sustain a year-round feed supply. So, sabi nga na this is the most economical and practical source of feed for the carabao. Pero, in order for it to become the most economical and the most practical source of feed for the carabao, dapat may proper management ka pa rin of the pasture land. So, kailangan na i-manage mo pa rin yung pasture. Tulad ng pag-manage mo sa growing of rice and corn, ganun rin yung effort and focus that you need to give when managing itong pasture mo, when establishing a pasture. So, kailangan na rin na mag-employ ka ng mga management practices like watering, mga ganun, mga weeding, um, pwede rin yung fertilization kung gusto mo doon sa pasture mo para maganda yung tubo, para ma-maximize yung productivity and ma-maximize mo yung use ng pasture mo. And then, one of the most important reason why we need to properly manage our pasture is to sustain a year-round feed supply. So, kailangan na kahit hindi mo sabihin na year-round, kahit mga 10 months na may steady supply ka ng mga feeds mo, pwede na yon. Basta may steady supply ka, may steady, hindi ka na uubusan ng feed, ng mga forages. All throughout the year, all 10 months, mga 9 months, 10 months, ganun, na hindi ka na uubusan ng forages, then that is a good management. Then it reflects your good management. So, kailangan talaga na may proper management ka on your pastures. So, in the establishment of pasture, first consider the site and pasture crop species to be propagated. So, may mga pasture crops ka, like yung mga carabao grass, mga ganun, temada, mga centrosoma. So, these are pasture crop species that you can consider. So, pwedeng yun yung when considering yung mga pasture crop species that you can that you will grow on your pasture. Marami kang i-consider, like for example yung soil texture and yung soil acidity nung lupa na pagtatamnan mo ng mga pasture. So may mga specific pasture crop species that can live on mga clayey or loam soil, that can live on mga sandy soil. May mga crop species rin na that can live on acidic soil, that can live on alkaline soil. So, kailangan na you consider yung mga factors na ganun. Like, for example, yung palang pasture crop species na yun, ayaw sa medyo acidic na lupa. Now, yung pagtatamnan mo ng pasture mo is acidic. So, kahit na gusto mo yung pasture crop species na yun, pag tinanim mo doon sa acidic na lupa mo, hindi tutubo, or kung tutubo man, it is mas maliit, hindi masyadong productive, kasi nga ayaw nung crop species na yun, pasture crop species na yun, ng acidic na lupa. So, kailangan na i-consider mo yung environmental factor, yung soil factor, as well as yung mga neighboring lands kung saan ka magtatanim, kung may mga factors nga ba doon that can affect yung pag-grow ng mga crop species na yun. Baka naman yung crop species na yun ayaw doon sa weather, doon sa inyo, doon sa pagtatamnan mo, then wala rin silbi. So, yun yung kailangan. Dapat consider the site and the pasture crop species to be propagated. So, yung pasture natin dito sa Pilipinas, it can be classified into 4 types. So, meron ka nitong native pasture na tinatawag, which is, as the name implied, it is native on the pasture that you, on the pasture, kung saan ka man, native yun. Marami kang makikitang ganon doon sa kapaligiran doon sa inyo. Yun yung native pasture. Then, you have yung native pasture overseeded with legumes. So, may mga, pwede rin na yung native pasture na yun, may mga makikita ka rin mga legumes. And then, you also have yung improved pure grass pasture. So, yung mga improved pure grass pasture, usually ito yung mga galing sa ibang bansa na mga pastures. Like for Bangkok, mga sa Thailand, mga ganon. So, dinadala nila dito sa Pilipinas. Like for example, yung mga napier natin na may mga iba't ibang varieties, mga hybrid na varieties. So, those are the improved pure grass pasture na tinatawag. Then you also have yung improved grass-legume mixture kung saan may yung pasture mo, it is may combination ng grass and then may mga legumes rin na tumutubo. So yun yung uh, pasture classification natin dito sa Pilipinas. So, when introducing yung mga legumes like stylo and centrosoma to native pastures like itong mga cogon na to and bagokbok has several advantage. So, the legume can fix atmospheric nitrogen, provide a higher nutritive value to the pasture, and provide additional feed source, especially during the dry season. So, yun yung parang recommended na gawin. You introduce yung mga legumes na mga pasture na like yung stylo and centrosema. Itong nasa picture, ito yung centrosema. You introduce it to mga pasture, yung mga native pastures natin like cogon or itong bagokbok na tinatawag. So, yung parang advantage nito, yung pag-introduce mo ng legume into yung mga native grasses natin, native pastures natin, is that yung legume, yung characteristic niya talaga is it can fix yung atmospheric nitrogen. Doon sa mga nodes ng mga legumes natin, it houses itong mga, can't remember if it is bacteria or protozoa, basta it houses some microorganism that have the ability to fix yung atmospheric nitrogen. So when you fix yung atmospheric nitrogen, then it is available for the plants to available na ngayon ito for the plants for their growth. So pwede nang kunin ito ng mga native pastures natin like itong bagokbok. Pwede na nilang kunin ito. Pwede na nilang, it will be parang a source of nitrogen for the native pastures natin. So, mas maganda ito, mas mag-grow yung mga native pasture natin. Then, it can provide also a higher nutritive value to the pasture. Since itong mga legumes na to, more on some of them are good source of protein for the animals. So, maganda kasi it will provide higher nutritive value. And then, it provide additional feed sources, especially during dry season. So, yun. Para may variety doon sa pasture mo. Para hindi lang iisa yung species ng pasture crop doon sa doon sa pasture mo. Hindi lang isa yung crop species. Kasi kung iisa, yung tendency is that if it is pag hindi niya time, like for example, pag summer, tapos namamatay yung kaisa-isang crop species mo doon sa pasture mo, then wala ka ng pagkukunan ng mga pasture. So, kailangan may mix yan. Minimix mo yung pasture. Yung mga different crop species doon sa pasture mo. Para naman, mayroon pa ring additional feed sources, especially during dry season. So, yun yung ginagawa. So, this is the procedure for the introduction ng legume natin into the native pasture. So, first, you burn or overgraze the area at the end of the dry season para you start anew, para fresh, para walang competition na magaganap doon sa mga i-plant mo na legumes. So you burn yung pasture, yung mga existing na weeds doon sa pasture mo. Or you can overgraze it para mawala sila. Then disturb the pasture by cultivation or light disking. And then apply phosphorus fertilizer and lime if the soil acidity is lower than 5.2. pH. So, yun yung gagawin. And then, inoculate the pasture area if necessary. So, when we say inoculation, it is the process of parang adding yung uh, mga beneficial bacteria. So, the purpose of inoculation para ma-make sure mo that there is enough bacteria, yung correct type ng bacteria that is present in the soil so that there will be a successful legume bacteria symbiosis. So yun kasi yung characteristic laging tatandaan. Yung mga legumes natin may mga symbiosis sila with bacteria. Yung bacteria, they will live in the nodes of the legumes, and yung bacteria naman, they will uh, in return, they will fix yung nitrogen doon sa atmosphere, which in turn, it will be used by the legumes natin. Then you can broadcast 2 to 8 kilogram legume seed per hectare, preferably at the onset of wet season. So, ganun karami per hectare, nasa 2 kilogram to 8 kilogram legume seeds. And then at the onset of wet season, para hindi ka na mahirapan sa pagpapatubig. So, you can let the rain do its work. So, pwedeng uh, siya yung magdidilig doon sa mga tinanim mong legume. Then, practice like grazing in favor of the legume. So, kailangan na pag tumubo na yung mga mga legumes natin, you should practice like grazing lang. Hindi yung entoto na kakainin na lahat ng karabaw. Yung legume mo, dapat like grazing lang. Then, in a native grass-legume mix pasture, the stocking rate and length of the grazing period should be determined by the legume component. So, kailangan pa rin ano mo yung stocking rate kung ilan yung animal na pwedeng kumain doon sa pasture mo, and length of the grazing period. So, dapat i-consider mo ito mga factor mo. Dapat ma-determine mo ito in establishing yung native grass legume mix na pasture natin. So, mga viney legumes such as the centro, it requires a lenient and shorter grazing period, while itong mga shorter legumes like this stylo can tolerate a heavy grazing pressure. So, dito pumapasok yung ano nga ba yung kailangan mong ipasok, ano nga ba yung kailangan mong itanim na legume na mga pasture crop species mo. So, if you're into you need to consider also kung tolerant nga ba sila dun sa different levels of grazing. Like here, itong centrosoma, shorter grazing period lang, light grazing lang yung kaya. While itong stylo dito sa baba, it can resist or it can live kahit na there's heavy grazing na nagaganap. Tutubo pa rin. So, 2 to 3 hectares of unfertilized native pasture may supply the forage requirement of one adult. So, ganun kalawak yung pasture na pwedeng kainin ng isang carabao. Na yung mature carabao, yung 2 years old and above na carabao. So, 2 to 3 hectares of unfertilized native pasture. So, about 1 to 2 mature carabao may be used per hectare in a lightly fertilized area of native grass legume pasture. So, pero pwede rin naman na 1 to 2 mature carabao yung gagamitin mo per hectare in a lightly fertilized area lang of native grass legume pasture. So, grazing management on improved pasture should be made rotational. So, yun yung parang number one thing that we need to do. Rotational grazing na tinatawag. Not only in Carabao, kahit anong ruminant, when establishing a pasture, you need to um, you need to make use of the rotational grazing. So, one benefit ng rotational grazing is since niro-rotate mo yung grazing area nitong animal na to, there are chance for the other pastures, for the other grasses on other paddocks to grow. May chance sila natutubo kasi hindi lang sa iisang place kumakain, nag-graze yung carabao. So, pag niro-rotate mo yan, yung dating grazing area niya, may chance na tutubo. Or tutubo yun. Since nilipot mo na sa ibang grazing area. So, may chance na tutubo, may chance na it will go back to its former height, former length, yung mga pastures mo doon sa old grazing area. So, yun yung isa. And then another one is to prevent na rin yung infection. Yung uh, mga anong infection doon sa yung mga parasite infection. Since if nagre-graze lang siya sa iisang part, yung tae ng carabao, most likely may mga parasites yan, may mga itlog ng parasites yan. Kung mag-hatch ngayon yung mga itlog ng parasites, then pupunta lahat sila doon sa grasses, doon sa grazing area. Kung saan doon sila mag-grow, and then pag nandun lang yung carabao, doon lang kumakain yung carabao, higher chance na makakain niya itong mga parasites na to. So, in order to prevent this, rotational grazing yung kailangan. Kasi, pag nag-rotational grazing ka, kakain siya, tatae siya sa isang grazing area, and then, the next few days, lilipat siya doon sa another grazing area. So, wala nang chance na yung animal na yun, makakain niya yung mga parasites na nandun sa old grazing area. So, yun yung kagandahan ng rotational grazing. So, you can divide the pasture into a number of paddocks and move the animals systematically from one area to another rotationally. So yun yung ginagawa dun sa pasture area. Dinidivide into mga lots called paddocks. And then you move them systematically, yung mga carabao, from one area to another rotationally. Hindi yung minove from area 1 and then minove mo into area 2 and then the next day minove mo ulit sa area 1. Hindi pwedeng ganun. So, from area 1, minove mo sa area 2, then from area 2, minove mo sa area 3, and then from area 3, minove mo into area 4, and then from area 4, babalik ulit sa area 1. So, rotational dapat. So, with this system, 2 animals are allowed to graze per hectare for about 3 to 7 days in each paddock. So, yun. Each paddock, pwedeng 3 to 7 days yung animal. And then, after that, pwede mo siyang i-transfer to a new paddock. Then, 3 to 7 days ulit. And then, after that, pwede mo siyang i-transfer ulit from another paddock. However, good fencing should be considered in this grazing management practices. Since nga, you divide it. So, yung gagawin mo ngayon, hindi naman parang i-imagine mo lang na i-divide mo yung yung land mo. So, kailangan na may physical barrier pa rin para may division talaga na magaganap. So, dito papasok yung good fencing. Dapat maganda, matibay, sturdy yung fencing mo para sa ganon, hindi masisira yon, hindi makakapasok yung mga carabao natin from one paddock to another on their own. So, dapat maganda yung fencing natin para talaga na you can employ rotational grazing na tinatawag. So rotational grazing also overcomes the disadvantages of overgrazing and undergrazing of pasture crops. So kailangan ito para ma-prevent daw yung overgrazing and undergrazing of pasture crops. Kasi nga, you have the control over your pasture na. Since dinivide mo siya, you have the control kung saan mo siya kung saang paddock mo ilalagay yung carabao mo. So when you see na malapit nang ma-overgraze itong paddock 1 mo, then pwede mo siyang i-transfer to paddock 2. And at the same time, if makita mo naman na marami pang maganda pa yung mga pastures mo, marami pa at maganda pa yung mga pastures mo in paddock 1. So, in order to minimize undergrazing, doon mo muna siya ilalagay, wag mo muna siyang i-transfer. So, yun yung kagandahan rin ng rotational grazing na tinatawag. On the other hand, employ continuous grazing in most of the cogon or rangelands where fencing is often not economical. Medyo kung hindi naman ganun kagandahan yung pastures na nandun sa field mo, then pwedeng continuous grazing, lalong-lalo na if mga native grasses yung nandun, like yung mga cogon, wherein hindi naman masyadong economical if you divide it, you overgraze, you practice rotational grazing na tinatawag. The pasture should be uniformly grazed to prevent some parts of being undergrazed or overgrazed. And then, carabaos tend to keep coming back to its usual grazing area and therefore tends to overgraze it. To minimize this condition, consider the following recommendation. So first, divide the pasture area into smaller paddocks. So yun, if you divide it, mahirapan na siyang pumunta sa iba't ibang place. Since nga, pag dinivide mo, dapat nakapagpatayo ka na ng fencing. Then, burn or mow undergraze area. So, kung ayaw niya doon sa part na yun, undergraze, mas mabuti na i-mow na lang or i-burn yung undergraze area. And then, you can put up watering shed facilities in graze area and then herd the animals daily. So, hindi lang yung pupunta ka doon, ilalabas mo yung carabao, and then bahala na sila. Kasi, you need to supervise pa rin. You need to herd them. Kung nakikita mo na may pupuntahan silang ayaw mo na puntahan nila, then you need to herd them. Ilalayo mo sila doon sa part na yon. So, yun yung dapat gawin. So, with that ends my video discussion muna for the pasture establishment and grazing establishment. So, I hope you can go over this video lecture and thank you for listening.